Welcome to the old-fashioned three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
Well, it's great to be with you. I hope you'll forgive us. We've already been having a pretty good time here.
Yeah, hey, thanks for coming.
I got to start with a question for you. This is, of course, old-fashioned three, or as I call it, the Jerry Reynolds Show. I was at the bookstore last night with Shinya, and I was looking through the sports books, and there was your book, but it was called Tales from the King's Locker Room.
Yeah.
Is that Reynolds Remembers and they changed the name of it? Or
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Exact same. What happened was the original publishers that I signed on with basically went bankrupt, and this other publisher took over, of which they didn't pay me what the other team had owed me, the other publisher.
Yeah.
And they just reworked it. I guess there's a way they could rework it and then not be obligated, act like it's something different. And what they did, they got I think Jason Jones to write a little extra
a forward or
something extra in there, so make it a little different, because they wanted me and Don Drysdale to write something, and of course Don was the one that really was the main guy. But it's like, well, if you're going to pay us something up front, we'll do it. Because we'd been kind of learned the hard way.
Okay, all right.
Fooled me once, and I'm a slow learner, but so I said no.
So Reynolds Remembers is in stores, but it's actually called, I think, Tales from the King's
Tales
Locker
from the Kings, that kind of stuff. And
gotcha.
You can still get the Reynolds Remembers on Amazon. Actually you pay more for it because it's kind of viewed as
I gotta
out
get
of
one.
print or something, huh?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
My mother-in-law, I got to get one from my mother-in-law that you met last month.
Oh, yeah.
because you got to sign one for her. She's all
Yeah,
excited about that because she
definitely.
couldn't find her copy.
Yeah.
If I had some extras,
Now I know.
I'd give you one. But I've got people always ask me. I said I got one book, the first one, and had it signed. I
Is the story about Larry Drew getting a building, is that in there?
I don't think that was in there.
The sequel, I hope. Yeah.
It should have been, but that was we were just talking beforehand how the salary cap and different things you could do, 40 years ago.
To circumvent.
It's
this,
very different,
Yeah.
that, okay, we're giving you a contract of $800,000. Now, part of that is a building that's worth $400,000.
And that's what they did with Larry Drew?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
he
that was
got
Kansas
money
City?
and a building.
Kansas City,
Yeah,
he was signed there after, a terrific year. And anyway, of course, he was a very good player. But as I think years went by, they found out that the building hadn't escalated in value.
Oh, no.
Did Larry ever go to the building? Was he familiar with the building?
I think they showed him pictures, and
And he just kept the picture in his locker. That's my building right there. Yeah.
well, I think it sounded like me one of those things where you buy 5 acres in Montana, somewhere, and it shows they got we're going to have water and electricity.
Building.
Yeah. That's a nice. I'm very creative. I like that.
No, I mean,
don't think you can do that these days, probably.
You can't. No. It has to. No, it's
There
like
are rules and stuff.
It's like anything. Well, of course, the league was so different then because I think the first year I was with the Kings in Sacramento, the salary cap was $12 million total.
That's it.
That's it.
For 12 guys or 15 guys.
Were you guys
15.
under or were you over? Were you?
I don't
saved
think
a
we've
couple
ever
of
been over. No,
You couldn't even get over 12 million.
No, we were never.
You like to leave plenty of room there. I think. Yeah.
They always left room in case they could get that one super.
Yeah.
12 million in 4 buildings. That's what you guys gave out. Yeah.
We were talking about that because Phantom is. I don't know he's very upset about something going on in the NBA.
Concerned about something that Jerry and I talked about months ago, I think, and it's something that is just grown up over time, and it's the fact that, Jaylen Brown is the latest 5 years, $300 million extension, so averages out to $60 million a year. I know Karl Anthony Towns is slated the last year of his deal is $62 million, and I've always thought there's got to be a breaking point, and you switch over to baseball, and Ohtani is going to be a free agent, and they're throwing around $60 or $70 million a year, and my question is there some sort of tipping point here that at some point it's just too much money? I mean, Ohtani is great. He's unique. He's fantastic. But I mean, I can't pay a guy $75 million. I just can't do it because how do I get my return on my $75 million? I'm giving Jaylen Brown.
Are you trying to bring him to the Lincoln Potters or
No,
something? Why are you so worried about?
I'm worried about it because I wonder. That brings up the question: is there a tipping point at what level? Is it just too much to pay somebody because they can't possibly pay you back in their performance because there's just not enough things they can do? I'm just wondering. Jaylen Brown's making $60 million. What can Jaylen Brown do for $60 million for the Boston Celtics? And every team is going to have, I mean, they have two, right? But every team is going to have either one or two of those guys pretty soon that they're paying out $80, $100 million to, and I just don't know what the return can be. I mean, you got to be throwing your money away, throwing good money after bad. At some point, there's some level that you just can't pay somebody that much money and get something in return for it.
Well, I mean, I think there's to be adjustments. I mean, I think probably teams can start charging $450 for a beer.
Some already do.
I think they already do.
Some already.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
been in a while.
Yeah.
You don't pay it all.
I don't
No,
pay.
Jerry Reynolds does not buy beer in this
No.
town. No.
but you
That's
know,
for a light beer, actually.
But you know,
it's for
the
a
thing
lifetime
with
of beer.
Ohtani though, I mean, he's one of one.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, the money probably, if it's $70 million, you could probably make a case. I'm not saying that he'd generate $70 million in extra attendance and all that with as many games as they have and TV revenue. So, but my problem, it goes back to what you said, which is very accurate here. Jaylen Brown, really good player.
Super player.
$60 million. He's the second best player on his team.
Exactly.
Now, here's what he signed. A Supermax contract. Okay. I thought a Supermax contract was for a Supermax player. Did I miss something here?
Well,
So by definition, then Tatum has to have a super
He's
duper
super
max
duper
at
max.
some point at super duper max, averaging $70 or $80 million.
And
a year.
then
the problem is everybody's eligible for one, but they don't have to get it. But now it's
But
like
you have
the
to
team-
give it to
yes,
him. You have
yes.
to give it to him.
Yeah.
You can't afford to have a guy
Well,
who's
it wouldn't-
eligible for a super max. What's wrong with you? You let him get away.
It's insulting. You'd insult him.
Yes.
And
you
if
didn't give me $70 million.
you didn't give me $70 million, and they'd say, well, he may not play his best. He'd have his feelings hurt.
I want to be traded. I want to win a
I
ring.
mean, I'd say that'd be the first clue. If you don't think he's really going to play his best, why do you want to give him anything?
Well, I'm not asking to be traded to the Celtics because they have no money.
No.
So I know I'm not going there.
I will say this, and you guys are more familiar with this than I am, especially you've been around it so long. But this conversation we're having, it reminds me of one that I remember reading about when the Lakers signed Magic Johnson to an unheard of contract, $25 million over 25 years.
$1 million
And it was like,
a year.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What? How? They'll be out of business. The league will be out of business in 2 months. Right?
What we should have said is, why are we paying him $1 million when he's 45 years old? That's what we should have asked.
Lifetime
Yeah.
contract. It's like, oh my goodness.
But Magic Johnson is a larger-than-life person. He's a larger-than-life player. I mean, obviously that was kind of weird at the time, but I mean, we're giving that's Magic Johnson.
What did you think when Magic signed that deal?
Well, I'll say this.
Excuse me. I'm
That's-
sorry.
no,
I
that's
mean,
okay.
I thought it was kind of like you on the back end. I'm not sure they're going, but I thought honestly, I thought, boy, Dr. Buss is pretty smart here. You know, I mean, just
when
knowing
you think about it down there, yeah.
you know, it seems like, but get him locked up
Yeah.
for $1 million a year. What's the odds of that not being the highest price?
Right.
You know,
right.
just by studying the league in the
Yeah.
past. So
Yeah.
and of course it was very smart on Buss's part. And eventually he had to tear it up, you know, because it was just ridiculous.
You're
on
getting the
other
most popular player, arguably, in the league for $1
Yeah.
million for 25 years. That's not a bad idea.
no,
right
and
there.
maybe the best. I mean, he was
Yeah, certainly right there.
among them. And no, it's a really well. Like I say, I think even at that time I didn't hate the Lakers, so I could.
But you could see somebody making back $1 million that you're
Oh,
paying
yeah.
Magic Johnson
Yeah.
a year. I don't know how you're going to get the $60 million back from Jaylen Brown. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the only
Or the 80 or that 100
the
from
only
Troy
way
Ohtani,
to
who I
me this whole thing is why it's happening is because it really equates to 50% going to players, 50% going to owners. So the money is there. Now, the danger I see, and I'm confident I'm right in this, what's happening? You're cutting out the middleman. You
middle of
you've
the
got
league, yeah.
They're just kind of like America, where the middle America is being cut out by the top
Yep.
and the bottom.
Yeah,
and,
tough to put a roster together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And so-
problem isn't how do you pay him, it's how do you put a roster together.
Yeah, to where, the average salary, is high, but actually you've only got 3 guys who skew the average. That's like saying, with in our world today where the top corporation guy, is
Him.
making, like Stone
Stone's-
making
yes.
$100 million,
Yeah, sure.
and the VP is making 80,000.
Yep.
But he buys lunch like once a month.
Does
so
he?
that $100 million
Yeah,
is
it makes a
pretty
difference.
much, yeah.
You mean for you or just for him?
Just for himself, but he lets us watch him eat it, so it's fantastic.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's great.
And then
But
yeah.
though, it's like the Celtics, or let's take Phoenix as an example. They recently were sold for $4 billion. Okay,
That's the answer.
When
Yeah.
Sarver bought them is for $400 million. That's I'm
Yeah.
not a great in math, but that's 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the players really haven't, generally speaking, their salaries haven't gone up 10 times over. Either.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Now, of course, my feeling is, I go back to your point. I think you're right. I think there's going to be a tipping point. It's kind of like, real estate. It's like, you can keep raising the price of a house. Pretty soon people can't buy them or can't pay the
Yeah,
price.
well, like you say, in the NBA, there's supposed to be a limit to what you can pay your team.
Yeah.
I mean, heaven knows that whenever the Lakers want to sign a guy for $30 million, they're able to do so. But there's supposed to be a limit, like we see with the Suns now.
And it's
Up by
more
the Suns.
punitive
They've
now.
got the
Yeah.
3 guys on top, and it's
Yeah.
just what Jerry's saying, right?
Yeah, for the CBA is much more punitive.
Exactly,
Or supposed
the
to be.
second
We'll
apron
see.
and all that.
Yeah, for teams that are over the cap.
Yeah,
which
and if you're-
you didn't have to worry about with the Kings.
No,
Didn't have
not
to worry
at
about
all.
any players that needed to go over the cap.
Yeah, not at all. And, but the thing, I know I'm too old-fashioned, but it really pisses me off, as you can tell. The Players Association, that's a union. A union is supposed to take care
Turning their backs on their
right.
the
middle
union
class.
members, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, you're taking care of these guys.
Yeah. Well, they're guaranteed contract. That's all
Yeah.
that was pointing to. Well, your contract's guaranteed. It's
Yeah.
not in football. It is in basketball. We must be doing pretty
Yeah,
well.
you're taking care of these
Yeah.
top 20% of the players, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the players. Hey, veteran minimum there. You've had 10 years. You're good.
That's yeah.
and the top 20 they're taking care of are the ones who always want to change teams.
Yeah.
I want to go over there. I want to go over there. I want to play with that guy. I want to play with that guy. Well, you're the guys who are making all the money. So
Let
we
me tell you
can't put
something,
you together.
if I may. Excuse me, Jared, but not anymore.
Oh,
I don't know if you
hey,
saw this.
hey.
The NBA sent a strongly worded memo
Okay.
to
all right.
teams
I'm
on
chastised.
the Dame Lillard trade request, and this
Is it still going?
makes it very clear that if a public or
Okay.
private comments from an agent or a player that he won't, quote, fully perform the services called for under his player contract in the event of a trade, end quote, then he will be subject to discipline. So
Wow. Hello. Hey, so welcome to the Spanish Inquisition, okay? They are coming down.
So
on
those
people.
days are over.
Oh, forget it. He is subject
The
to
new sheriff in
discipline.
town, his name is Adam Silver.
And I'm sorry, but you're wrong about him,
Well,
Jerry. The
I
man
think-
is stepping up.
Well, you guys have misinterpreted this.
How can you possibly? It's in black and white.
Which, the way I took it is like if Dame Lillard is traded to the Chicago Bulls, and he gets there and I'm not going to play very hard, and he'll be punished. They'll
Yes.
say, "All right, Dame, we're taking $100,000 out of your $60 million.
Well-
if you don't," and that'll just intimidate the heck out of me.
So you think it should have been more strongly worded then to indicate
Well, the
there will
thing
be
is,
serious
it doesn't
consequences?
actually say you'll be punished if you don't play hard. It says you'll be punished, you may be punished if you or your agent says you won't. Because if you don't
you
and you
go
say you're
there-
hurt, we can't really do anything. But you better not say you're going to.
If you go there and average 17, we got no recourse. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, those days are over
Well,
now.
that's the problem with this kind of thing too, is because Lillard's got several years on his contract. Now, I don't think he's the kind of guy that wouldn't go play. That'd be unfair. But I like I say, it's one thing when free agents want to go to a certain team because they're going to be obligated. They're going to play hard
Yeah.
if they're in the last year of their deal.
Yeah,
Or going to be
absolutely.
something like that. But
Yeah.
guys that got 3 years, well, this is kind of a little different.
Can I share with you just one more thing about this?
Yeah.
It's so comical how toothless it is. So there were stories that Aaron Goodwin, who you probably know him.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
That he went to teams and told them, don't trade for Dame because he won't play for you. So the NBA comes out and says, hey, you can't do that.
Okay.
So they talk to teams. Because Goodwin says, no, I didn't do that. So they talked to teams. Did he do that? This is what they came up with. Relevant teams provided descriptions of their communication with Goodwin that were mostly, though not entirely, consistent with what the agent told us. So,
So it's basically
What?
he was kind of lying. Is that what you're saying? Somebody.
yeah, he's
Nobody
maybe
knows.
telling the truth, but we're not. I mean, I guess he is. Yeah.
Well, though.
Yes, that's what it says. Yeah.
But the thing there is like, wait a minute. I understand getting on Aaron Goodwin, but he's just doing what his client.
Yeah.
Why
He's
aren't
doing
you
his
getting
job.
on his client?
Yeah.
The guy he's working
And
for.
the union wouldn't like that, Jared.
Yeah, that's
Why
right. There
is
you
it-
go. That's right. The union is like, no, we'll you can throw the agent under the bus if you want to, who's just.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt that somehow or another. I don't think that the idea of Damian just playing for the Heat came from Aaron Goodwin.
Right.
But
I
isn't there a-
wouldn't think so.
Isn't there a penalty? Can't you? If a player on a team goes, I would like Damian Lillard to be on my team. Isn't that tampering? You can't do
if
that.
he's under
can you?
contract. Yeah.
So
yeah.
how can his guy tell other teams that he doesn't want to play on their team? I mean, it's the same.
That's an
principle.
agent. He's not. Yeah.
But it's still. I just think that
it's not tampering.
Well,
it's like tampering to me.
Well,
It's like,
I
I won't
mean,
be on your team.
He's under contract by the Portland Trailblazers. Now, the only exception to that, I think, is if the Portland Trailblazers have said, okay, we in respect for Damian Lillard, what he's done for us, if you can get us a deal with Miami that we want to do. And we talked about this last time. I don't think there's a deal there.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Yeah,
there's
I
no
mean,
deal there.
yeah, sure, Miami would like to have him. Okay, and he'd like to go there and play with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo.
He loves Bam. He and Bam very tight.
And those guys, well, yeah, but then what else have they? They'd have to actually trade. Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong here, but wouldn't they have to trade something
Some
to get
guys,
him?
yeah. Well, they always say, well, just get a third team involved.
Yeah, third team.
Yeah, we'll just get a third
Miami
team
will send nothing because they don't have anything.
And you guys have to send everybody.
and you send a bunch of good players to Portland. Yeah, I think that'll work.
Yeah. Portland doesn't want Tyler Hero.
Yeah, and they don't want and
Tyler Hero, who by the way was a little miffed because somebody came out with some rating, maybe it was the Athletic, and they had Kevin Herter, I think, one spot ahead of
Yeah,
Tyler
that's
Hero.
right. I read that, yeah.
Tyler Hero. He someone on Facebook questioned that, and he liked that.
Oh
So,
boy, because he was one spot ahead of him on a poll on the
he did not
Athletic.
like being one spot behind Tyler
Well,
Hero.
then he
Excuse
should-
me, Kevin Herter.
He should
didn't
have
like
played
that.
more then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, those ratings are pretty accurate. You know that.
Yeah. You can negotiate based on those rankings. Yeah.
That
I'm
brings us
better
to
than
quiz.
Herter.
Quiz time. All right.
I like
just guess the answer, and you may have already seen this. Steph Curry
Yeah.
has named the 3 toughest defenders he's ever played against. Did you guys see this?
Ever.
I did not see it. huh?
Okay. Yeah, because he's promoting his documentary now.
Yeah, he needs
so
to-
one of the players on his list is a former Sacramento King. One guy's still playing. The other 2 are no longer playing, including the guy who was a former Sacramento King. Anybody want to guess? Here's what he says. There's a group of guys that always the light bulb went off when they were on the court. It's I didn't get to play too many games against the former King, but he had the strongest hands you've ever seen in your life. Anybody have any idea?
Well, John Salmons, of course.
It's not John Salmons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
Do you have any idea? I didn't get to play against him a lot, and I don't think it would have been a position-on-position matchup. But he had the
Okay.
strongest hands you've ever seen in your life.
I was looking to you, Jer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Went by a couple different names, actually.
Take a dual Rahed.
Oh. It's Meta.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah.
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 Very
Well,
well
I
done.
yeah. Now I always forget that he played for the Kings. and
Well, it's like Ron Artest played for the Kings,
It's
not
okay
Meta.
that I-
yeah, I
It's the
know.
same
It's like,
guy.
yeah,
and-
he said Ron Artest, but
Yeah. He also names Tony Allen.
yeah, well, that makes sense.
And the other guy who's playing now, Drew Holiday, Steph Curry's.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So what that tells me, if I'm ever coaching against Steph,
Yeah.
he doesn't like anybody, right? Getting real physical with
giving
him.
away the key now.
So you're thinking that maybe if Davion Mitchell had played more,
Oh.
Because
That's
Yeah.
that-
Okay.
Some interpret it that way.
The
I don't
answer
know.
is
Yeah.
clearly right there. Yes, it's Mr. Mitchell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike Steph to give that away, just to give the secret away to guarding him. But well, we got
Yeah.
to take it. Yeah.
He also is dodging the whole thing about the GOAT, Steph, who's the greatest player of all time. He goes, I think there's more than one, which is, I'm sorry, it can't be,
word-
right?
the word
There's only a
greatest-
greatest.
There's not a
of all
herd
time.
of goats, is there?
No,
It's an EST there. It's a
Yeah, and
great
if you don't
test,
want to
so-
answer, fine, or you want to give a silly answer, but I think there's more than one. I'm not watching his documentary until he answers that question. I'm sorry.
But what
And I
if he
hate to,
doesn't-
I hate to do that to him.
What if he can't decide?
Then I won't watch, and
Then
I'm
you
sorry.
Won't decide. Okay, that's
Then I
fair.
won't
All
watch
right,
his
yeah.
doc.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if he'd say I can't choose. There's several that I can't pick one against the other because they're all great. But,
Yeah.
But at some point, if you're going to say there is one greatest,
Yeah.
as we know, the argument always seems to come down to Jordan and LeBron. Now, Mr. Basketball and myself
Yeah.
would add Mr. Jabbar
I
in
would
there.
certainly do that. Yeah.
When you look at the totality of career and the college game, which at one time was very important.
Absolutely important.
I remember
And
that.
yeah, you're old enough to remember.
Yeah, and there's
when
Kareem right there.
Yeah.
Pardon me for
So
putting my hand in
anyway,
your
yeah,
face. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What
So-
did? Yeah, and you heard Julius Erving's list of the
I
greatest.
did.
Yeah.
I did, and he did not list anybody current,
Right.
which I thought was kind of good. You know, he's a player that was great in his time, and he mentioned players that were great in his time, and he thought,
Fair enough.
fair enough,
Yeah.
fair enough.
He mentioned Elgin Baylor.
Elgin
Yeah.
Baylor should get mentioned more.
Yes, he should.
I think he really should.
Elgin Baylor and Rick Barry should be mentioned a lot more than
Yeah.
they are as among all-time greats. That's just two. Come
I
to
think the
mind.
top 10 is easy for me. I would start off with the three centers. Then I
Mm-hmm.
put Magic and Larry right there. Then I put Michael, and I include LeBron as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan, Kobe, and Shaq. And then Steph Curry coming right
I
up on
think
the inside, and also
yeah.
Mr. Elgin Baylor right there.
Obviously, your list is your own. To me, Steph Curry's better than Kobe. And
Well,
I've said that.
I have
And I've
been
had a lot
moving
of
up,
people
yeah.
say, "You don't know what you're talking about." But to me, all things considered, I think Steph Curry's better than Kobe. But I'm not Jerry Reynolds.
Fair enough. I mean, I had him right outside the top 10, and Steph
Well,
Curry's
I-
not done either. So there.
I think you
said
can
that.
make a great case for Steph over Kobe. I really do.
Not as good. I mean, defensively, obviously, there's not even
But
close.
he's certainly
Yeah.
easy, as a teammate. He's way
Yeah.
easier to, probably
Yes,
the easiest
probably.
superstar to play with that maybe he's ever played.
Yeah.
Him and Duncan.
Him and Mr. Duncan.
Him
probably,
and,
I think.
Duncan,
and
that'd
Bill
be your
Russell.
other one.
Bill Russell probably.
Bill, yeah, I don't know if he's that easy to play with, but
Well,
but he was so unselfish in what he
Yeah.
did. Of course, he couldn't score, so that made it better for his teammates who could.
Yeah, and he made it easier for them too.
Yeah,
So
to
there
do
you
what
go.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Duncan and Curry, I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have 10 that you?
Well,
not to put you on the spot.
I like all the guys you mentioned. Although I'd have Oscar Robertson and Jerry West
probably
both ahead
forgot those
of
two, yeah.
Elgin to me because of their all-around complete games. Mm-hmm. I mean, and Elgin was probably better offensively than either. But anyway, those two I think are
Yep.
just from talking to people who played against him, I think Willis and Bill. I think they would agree with me on
I
that.
totally agree with you. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they were at the backhand of my list, and I forgot those two because I was thinking Kobe and Shaq. But obviously, Oscar Robertson belonged to the top 10 players I would think of all
Were
time.
Jerry and Oscar kind of Magic and Bird in some ways before Magic and Bird?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The thing that always struck me with West is that Oscar was so much better than West was early in his career. And West, I've heard him say that.
Yeah.
Because he didn't, he was a converted college forward, who was great off the ball and things, different things. But within about 5 or 6 years, due to partly to body, where Jerry was just, took care of himself better, thinner, and learned to handle better, that he thought by the time he was 5-6 years into his career, he was as good as Oscar or very close.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true. But anyway, and then probably was better at the end of his career.
Was
because of
Walt
his-
Frazier
well,
anywhere near? I know he wasn't as good. Was he anywhere near that level? I know at times he outplayed Jerry,
Yeah.
but
he was in that. Yeah,
Find that next rung down.
He probably,
Yeah.
that next run, he was probably better. And West was great defensively. People kind of forget that. I always remember the game when they won their 25th straight against the Hawks. in Atlanta, and he was guarding Maravich, and just, I mean, I'd never seen anybody handle.
Yeah.
He was so quick.
It's like you say, he was much more athletic than you remember as
Yeah,
far as that's concerned.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I always say, his senior year in college, I think it was, he averaged 30 points and 16 rebounds. That's 6'3". I mean, that's one of those numbers that jump off the page.
Mm-hmm.
That says, no, this guy.
This is different. Yeah.
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 And at the end of his career, or well, not at the end, but I always thought of him as a pure shooting guard, but he played a lot of point guard, too.
Oh, he
didn't
was the point
Combo.
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought of him as a
Well,
shooting
Gail
guard.
Goodrich wasn't much of a handler. I mean,
He's a shooter.
but he could
put it up.
score.
He put it up.
No.
Little
no.
Stumpy will put it up.
Stumpy
Yeah.
put it up.
Yeah,
but
Stumpy
that
put
was
it
a
up.
great
He
guard
didn't
line.
like Gail Goodrich for some reason.
Because him and Connie Hawkins didn't get along. Because
Well,
Gail Goodrich liked to shoot the ball a
Yeah,
lot.
well, yeah, he did. And
Yeah.
he could,
And he made a lot.
he
I mean,
made
he's
a
in the
lot.
Hall of Fame, so I got to
He-
give. You know Reggie Miller, obviously, but
he was he had a pretty good college career too, as you recall.
he had
Yeah.
a tremendous team as well. Mr.
Yeah.
Hazard was pretty good too.
Yeah, but Mr. Hazard had gone the next year and they still won.
Yeah.
You mean
So-
Marty
Keith
Abdul?
So I'd like
Erickson,
for you to
too.
explain
They had
that.
Keith
Yeah.
Erickson,
And he had
too.
43 in the
Keith
championship.
Erickson.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're running out
He
now.
was tremendous. Yeah.
Lynn Shackelford.
Lynch Shackford came later. Came a little bit later. Lefty from the corner.
I'm reluctant to bring this up, but this was on Bleach Report. Did you hear about this? Somebody, and I think the guy's like an attorney who also writes basketball, on the side. So he's obviously a very bright guy. 5 overrated players in the NBA right now, and he had DeMar DeRozan was on there.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard.
Well, yeah, because he never plays,
Yeah.
and he's great. So, yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas, which is like,
I think
what?
he's okay.
I know,
Yeah,
he's
he's
no one-
pretty good, and nobody thinks he's
Dylan
good.
Brooks, number 2, and number 1 on this guy's list. Number 1, most overrated player in the NBA. Stone son, huh? Tell him, Stones. Domantas Sabonis.
Yes. Well, that's clearly someone who's never watched any of the games and then watched the end of the season series against the Warriors, and he didn't perform up
He
to
didn't,
superstar
no.
status. And they go, well, that guy's overrated. I mean, that's basically what he did.
Well, those kind of things, I mean, I think are used to get clicks, and
Yep.
and I mean, certainly to have most of the guys on there are guys who everybody knows who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Kawhi's not overrated. He's a great player.
He
Gets
just-
hurt a lot,
yeah.
right?
yeah, well, Kawhi's hell as a player, he's in top 5.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
as you said, you put a guy in there. Oh, Kawhi Leonard. Well, I got to see what this guy's talking about.
Yeah.
Click. Yeah.
Or DeMar DeRozan. I mean, what kind of? He's had a great career.
Then why is Valanciunas?
And then
He
again,
must be- he
Valanciunas is a solid player. Who said he was more than that?
He's exactly properly rated, I think.
If he's in there for
Yeah.
clickbait, that's bad.
That guy must
clickbaiting.
live around
Right?
Valanciunas or something.
Yeah,
Go,
put-
he's local. I got to put him on my
Put
list.
Zion Williamson in there.
There you go.
That's fantastic.
We
Yeah,
should
there-
do our own clickbait overrated top 5.
Oh, I
you
love
go
it.
first. No, we're trying to
okay.
get
Let's
clickbait
see.
here.
Well, James Harden.
James Harden. All right. Yeah. What do you got? The top 5. And maybe he's really not overrated.
Well, I think
let's-
Draymond Green.
There you
Draymond
go.
Green.
Oh,
That's
that's really
actually
good. That's very
he probably
good.
should
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
on there. I would have to go with obviously Kevin Durant.
Oh, God. Come on. Perform once in a while. Can I submit Damian Lillard?
Damian
Yeah,
Lillard.
I mean, come
yeah.
on. Get on the floor, will you, mister?
Yeah.
Bradley Beal.
Okay.
There
well,
you go.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. We'll put our 5 up against his 5.
Well, but the thing that we did differently was we actually put guys who are rated as elite in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, we're not saying they're not good. We're just saying they're not elite in the world. That's
Yeah.
all.
It's not like
Yeah.
you're putting Kevin Herter on there and go, oh,
Yeah.
no, that guy's incredibly overrated over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like what we did.
I think I'm
it's
pretty
great. I think
darn-
Kevin Durant might be the most overrated guy I've seen in a long time.
Well, if he keeps getting hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, come on.
Exactly.
Hey, stay healthy,
Wouldn't
okay?
do anything.
Come on.
Yeah, the Warriors
Yeah.
obviously carried him because he left. He doesn't want anything. Right? Right. Are you at all looking forward to the FIBA World Cup? Does that do anything for you? Coming up, well, it's the end of July, so in August. FIBA World Cup.
Yeah, I think I'll check that out. Yeah,
I think I will
absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
Really?
Canada's got it. You're not too excited about that?
Probably not, no.
Oh, okay.
Canada's got some Yeah, Canada's
got
got
a
a
good
bunch
ball
of guys on
They're
their
still-
team. You go, I didn't
they
know
don't
that
have
guy
the
was from
Federal
Canada.
Express golf tournaments at that time. So
I don't.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm in there, buddy.
I wasn't checking. I
gotcha.
didn't check out the 3M that much this weekend, so I kind of let us down on the golf.
Well,
right there.
I didn't so much the 3M because they had the Senior Open
Yes.
in Wales,
Yeah.
which nobody, I mean, you get 5 over 1.
You can't make old people play courses like that,
Well,
Jerry.
no.
Come on. I mean, you can't
I
even
don't-
see where you're going most of the
I know.
time.
I don't think young people want to play that one.
I know.
And then I loved the LPGA at Evian.
I was
and-
watching that too. Yeah.
and
Tremendous
and the
job
little-
by Celine
yeah,
Boutier.
Celine
Yeah.
Boutier won. And that was great. So and they had good crowds and everything.
Great
Is
crowd.
that, is
The
that
French love their golf,
Okay,
yeah.
speaking of French, maybe we can wrap it up here because the conclusion of the car show today was stunning.
Okay.
Jerry was sharing with me. I don't have any information other than what Jerry told me. Jerry West
Jerry West.
says that Victor Wembanyama might not be that good, huh?
He was just saying that
Pourquoi?
it may be wasn't, in his opinion, at the same age wasn't as good as Kobe Bryant. I think he said that.
Oh,
Wasn't
that's a
it?
good comparison,
And-
right?
yeah.
Because
but-
Kobe
but-
came in at 18, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the other part of that, which I thought was interesting, and we discussed, without your
It's okay.
without you there,
Constant interruptions.
Probably got further, yeah. No problem.
got more accurate information.
Absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
and
Boy, that
it-
was okay.
but anyway, it was a case where I reminded Mr. Gleason that Kobe wasn't particularly outstanding as a rookie.
Right.
Wasn't, and the second year was just starting to show it, and then by the third he exploded. It wasn't a LeBron James thing. He was like Kevin Garnett. It was a process. So I mean, just based on that, and I certainly have a lot of respect for West. It's like, well, if you think that, then you're saying in effect that maybe Wembanyama's just not going to tear it up right away. Mm-hmm. And I could see why that may be true. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to get defended pretty good out on the wings. He likes to play.
You
off
get
the
roughed
dribble,
up a little bit. Yeah.
Roughed up a little bit.
My partner on the radio, Chris Watkins, says Wembanyama's not going to be Rookie of the Year.
No,
I have a
he's
hard
not.
time imagining that because the league will want him so badly to be Rookie of the Year, and the Spurs will. But who? Well,
I don't think he won't. No, I don't think Chet Holmgren will play 65 either. I don't think Wembanyama will play 65. I think somebody like a Scoot Henderson or somebody who's more geared to come in and make an imprint right away will be the Rookie of the Year.
Well, if Portland trades Lillard, then I think Scoot Henderson will be, because he'll
Just open the spot for him.
he'll put up the stats. Yeah. He'll have the best stats, and as you know, for Rookie of the Year, as our experience with Tyreek Evans, who
25 and 5.
Yep, that was
25 and 5, baby.
That was
and,
so awesome.
And 25 wins, and
25, 5, and 25.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
there you go.
but that's the
Yeah.
truth of it. The rookies, Paolo Banchero, I mean, he deserved it, and he made his team better, but they're still a pretty significant loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but, the getting to play and all
There
that.
was 17 lottery picks.
Yeah, he's a
17 guys
focal
with-
point of that team too. I mean, they
Yeah.
just gave him the ball the first day and said, "Okay, go ahead, go."
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
great.
He should have
Yeah.
given it to Franz Wagner.
And
Franz
I love
Wagner,
that guy.
pretty, and his brother actually starting to
Mo.
carve out a little.
Hey, Mo.
niche. Yeah.
Hey, Mo.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
it's interesting stuff, though. I mean, I do think with Wembanyama, as much as I thought he'd be the greatest, the greatest thing since sliced bread, I think after watching him, it's like, yeah, I think he's still going to be or could be, but there's a process.
Yeah.
There's a process.
Just hope he
Anytime
stays
Jerry
healthy.
says, I'm sorry. I was going to say, anytime Jerry says anything about a player, I'm all ears.
I'm all ears,
You are
yeah,
too?
yeah.
You all ears, Mr. Bester?
I'm always all ears, you know that. But
yeah.
and besides interrupting,
How great was sliced bread when they first came up with it? Because I know that saying, but was
well,
it like,
well,
hey,
can
have
I
you
just
guys
say
seen this?
Overrated, okay? Sliced bread number one.
No. Now here's where you're
Rye
wrong.
bread number 2.
I'm old enough to remember.
Garlic bread number 3.
Now let me explain this to you. See, my parents explained this to me because they, most of their life there was no sliced bread.
That's
And-
what I'm wondering. Honestly, that's what I've heard that expression.
Yeah,
So-
Go ahead.
And so,
Yeah.
so they, and I respect my parents greatly.
As do
and
I.
They said this is just absolutely fabulous.
It must have
Didn't
been
you
for
say,
that.
couldn't you have taken the bread and sliced it up before?
No, not
Just
like
take
that.
a knife and go
well,
like that.
Yeah, and you had one slice like that, and
Yeah.
one,
Uneven slices.
Oh, the uniform slice
the
thing.
uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could slice it.
Oh, you can slice it amateuristically.
Yeah,
But we need a slicer.
Well, that's what they came up with. That
You
they
just think for that saying to have lasted this long, people must have been just like high-fiving. Have you seen this sliced bread, brah?
That's when you needed a
Well,
high five. Hey, Mom, up here.
Well, there's some old sayings that linger on
Yes.
because they're fairly accurate. It's
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah,
does,
yeah,
a,
I get
does
it.
a bear poop in the woods?
Right.
Of course it does.
Right. Yes. That's another one. Yeah.
That's a really good one. Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, it means it's certainty, right?
Certainty.
That's certainty.
And who came up with that? Nobody knows.
Nobody
And
knows.
It must have been a genius.
The first guy was probably some naturalist. Oh, yeah, there's a broach. Well, it's
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
The sliced bread guy's a genius.
Yeah, he is. I mean, the Reynolds came up with it. They knew what was going on.
Well,
Yeah.
the Reynolds is, they were happy with any little
What-
modicum of change.
What did they
at
put
that
on the
time.
bread? What did they put on the sliced bread? What kind of sandwich?
Well, I gotta tell you this story, and I know it's been great all my life, and I've probably told it to you. But there was a guy that worked with my dad named Newell Dotson, I think was his name.
Newell?
Newell Dotson.
and they worked at the Texas Eastern Pump Station together for years. And anyway, Dad would say Newell every day. For lunch.
Already.
I'm serious.
Sorry, I'm laughing already.
He brings a lard sandwich.
Okay.
A lard sandwich.
I got you.
okay. And
So like two pieces of bread and with the lard in
Yeah.
the
With the
middle?
sliced
Okay.
bread, though. So
Yes,
there you go.
Well, actually, it was probably the old.
Oh, the old bread.
Pre-sliced.
Oh,
yeah,
pre-sliced.
thick with a big. That was his lunch.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, Lord,
and I always
Sam.
remember, it's like I mean, as I got to be a teenager, I said, Dad, that's terribly unhealthy. He said,
What the hell, Dad?
He said, I said, how does that work out for Newell long term? He said, well, it did work fine right up till he died at 43. So
No problems until.
Yeah, he's healthy till the day he turns
yeah,
43. Yeah.
just one lard sandwich too many.
Yeah.
There was a tipping point, kind of like
There we go.
Was it the lard or was it the bread? That's
it's
what we
kind
have
of like
to ask.
Supermax contracts. There's a tipping point.
How many large sandwiches can one guy have?
See you next time. Maybe.
Sorry, Newell.
maybe.
Sorry, bro. R.I.P.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.